Welcome in, everybody. It is Backroads and Ballgames. I'm your host, TJ Perry, and it's episode 1. We're finally launching this thing, probably a little earlier than I thought. I teased some of you on my radio show. That's probably where a good portion of you will come from in the beginning. So thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening all the years on the radio show. This is going to be the spot where you can catch me going forward after the show ends in June. So appreciate you being here. Spread the word. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're new here, you're just running across this by chance. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope that you'll click subscribe and follow along. This will be a mesh of a lot of things. It's not going to be one particular niche that I'm going to be in. It's probably going to be some country music, some pop culture. We'll talk about some 80s and 90s things going forward. We'll talk about sports. Especially collegiate sports. It's what I do now on my radio show. I have hosted a show for over 20 years in the Norman, Oklahoma area, out of the Oklahoma City market, and cover primarily the University of Oklahoma and Sooner sports. So we'll talk a lot about that here and about the SEC now that the Sooners are a part of the SEC. But episode 1 today, as I said, it's coming a little earlier, and that's because Eric Church dropped a new album. First one since Heart and Soul, his 3-album collection, right at 4 years ago. And we finally got new music from the Chief. As we go forward on this channel, you'll find out what a fan I am of Eric Church. There's probably going to be an episode dedicated to why I am such a big fan of Eric Church. It has to do with a hospitalization, paralyzation, and a long recovery period. And Eric Church was definitely a big part of that, so we'll talk about that. But today, it's about Evangeline and the Machine, the new album that dropped on Friday. And it is a 8-track album, about 36 minutes long. And it's a journey. It's different. It's I wouldn't label it as a country album. It's nothing like Eric Church has ever put out before, but that can be expected with Eric. One thing that he likes to do is push the envelope. He doesn't want every album to sound the same. He didn't find one thing that, put it in a box, it worked, let's just keep putting that out. It's not how he operates. So this one is definitely kind of pushing it more than anything he's ever done. You go all the way back to Stagecoach of 2024, and he did a set that kind of took a lot of people at Stagecoach by surprise. A lot of people didn't like it. He took a lot of grief on social media and stuff, and he would definitely admit that. But it was something that he wanted to experiment with. He wanted to experiment with big band, the choir, different sounds, and meshing those sounds. And that's definitely what Evangeline versus the Machine is. It is a concept album that kind of runs all the way through, and it's meant to be listened to as an album. Track 1 to track 8. And it kind of has the flow all the way through of good versus evil. You've got Evangeline in one song who kind of represents, the artist that's battling the machine. That is the way we consume music in today's world. A lot of artists right now, it's easy for them to write a song, put it out, write a song, put it out, write a song, put it out. Keep flooding things out there, and then they'll eventually probably slap it on to an album, even though some of those singles have been out for months and months, and they'll just keep, putting out new material. Probably a lot of younger people probably like that in today's world. Eric wanted to go back with this to an album. Much like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you would buy an album, you would listen to the thing, you drop the needle down, you would listen to that vinyl all the way through, and that's how Eric really wants you to take in his music. He always has. He's always talked about how important it is for him for you to enjoy the album, for you to live within the album. And this is by far his biggest project as far as that goes. Everything flows together in this thing. It is almost like one piece of art. It will go and flow in and out with the strings and the choir and kind of run all together. As I said, it is a good versus evil battle within this album. There are biblical references in this thing throughout that you will find, especially in Johnny, Bleed on Paper, Storm in Their Blood. All of those songs will have kind of biblical references in it that you'll be able to find throughout this thing. This is, like I said, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. This is not your typical country album that's going to have 4 or 5 big hits that he puts out. They go top 10, maybe go number 1, and lives on country radio for a while. That's really not what this thing was about. Hands of Time's out there. I think it'll be a big radio hit for him. I think there's a couple of others on here that have the potential to be. I just don't know what his thought process is with this album as far as releases for radio singles. We'll see as we go along here. I hope Johnny is one that he puts out on radio. It is a great song. The background behind Johnny is it's a play off of The Devil Went Down to Georgia by the Charlie Daniels Band, written after the Tennessee Covenant School shootings last year. Eric said that next day he was taking his 2 boys to school, and it was the hardest thing he had ever done. The shooting had taken place at the school just down the road. He said it was about a mile away. Here he is the next day, knowing he needs to and has to let those boys go into the school. But it was hard after what they experienced there in Nashville. And he said as he drove away, the emotions and stuff took over. And on his drive home, Devil Went Down to Georgia came on the radio. And he kind of laughed at himself and said, the Devils broke out of Georgia. He's all over the place. We need Johnny to come back and battle the devil. And went home, wrote the song, wrote Johnny. And it is a big song. It's an emotional song. It's a punch you in the face song. And when the choir and the backing vocals come into this thing, it's an awesome experience. And I think that's what this album's going to be about for him, is the experience. He's got 3 shows planned at Red Rocks in July, one of those being solely the Evangeline versus the Machine album on the Monday night show. He'll play it straight through track 1 to track 8, and I can't wait to see that. I've got tickets for that show. It'll be my first time at Red Rocks, so I'm looking forward to that. Then he's got the tour coming up in September, and I think he'll probably experiment a lot with this album on this tour. You're probably going to get big band with strings and horns and the choir coming out at different times. From what I've seen him tease a little bit with this thing, that's how the show will start. Real big, come at you, in your face, and then it'll go back into some of, previous hits, songs from other albums, and then I think he's going to kind of ease into the end of the show with just him, a guitar, and the microphone, and the audience, which, if you're an Eric Church fan, you've been to some shows for the Chief, maybe when he's at his best. The poster behind me for the residency that he did last year at Chiefs, probably one of the best musical experiences I've ever had in my life with the show that we went to in April. So, as I said, this album is that. It is a concept album. It is a story. Listen to it front to back. Enjoy it that way. This is a grab yourself a drink on a Friday night. If you got a fire you can light in the backyard, a bonfire, fire pit, whatever, grab you some gypsy whiskey. He would prefer you grab gypsy whiskey, maybe some bourbon, whatever you want, and take in this album in one setting. That's what it's meant to. And I think it will probably take a lot of people 2, 3, 4 times through, and then it's going to be you're going to realize how great this thing is in totality. I love the album. It's hard for Eric to put something out and I don't enjoy it. So I'll start off by saying that. I'm guilty of that. I'm a little biased. But even the first time through with this one, I wasn't quite sure what I was hearing, what I was listening to. It is definitely a different sound for him. It is a mix of country, of rock, of gospel, soul, blues. It's got a little bit of everything. And the way some of these songs build and build and build is just an awesome experience once you get through it a few times, and is really a great piece of work. I think this is going to be one of those albums that when we look into nominations at award shows coming up in the next year or so, the next Grammys. I'm going to guess this gets nominated for a lot of Album of the Year categories in the Grammys, CMAs, ACMs, whatever it may be. We'll see if it wins at any of those, but I do think it's got a chance. I do think, especially with the Grammys, it's the type of project that they really like and will embrace here. So go check it out. I'm giving it a thumbs up, and I think you'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of Eric Church, this is not smoke a little smoke. It is not drink a little drink. It is not any of that. But you hear some of country music Jesus in this thing. You hear some of Sinners in this thing, and it all comes together in where Eric's at in his life right now. You know, he evolves with his music, with his age. As I said, he's not going to give you the same sound that he gave you off the Chief album or off of Sinners or one of those older albums. He's going to tell you with this thing, I'm in my late 40s, I'm pushing 50, I've got a family, I've got kids, this is where I'm at in my life, and this is what I want you to experience with my music. I want you to think, I want you to live and breathe this album. And that's his intent with this thing. And if you take it in that way, I think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, it's only about 36 minutes long, so you can sit down, have you a drink or two, and really take this thing in, and I think you'll enjoy it. So if you're first time here, first time seeing this, and you haven't subscribed, please do click and subscribe. We'll talk a lot of music on this thing. We'll talk concerts. We'll talk sports. We'll talk pop culture. Really, whatever's on my mind when I hit record on this camera, that's probably what we're going to talk about that day. Hopefully, when I build this thing, get a little bit more used to this side of it. Radio, I'm used to. I'm used to this microphone. I'm not used to the camera and the filming and the editing and everything that goes with that. I hope to have some guests coming up in future episodes, and maybe even do some live streams with you guys out there where you can watch live, comment to me, ask me questions. I know a lot of you have already reached out to me, want me to talk a little bit about my radio career on this thing, talk about how I got into radio, and some of the stories behind that. So we'll do that coming up in the future. And as I said, definitely, if you're an SEC sports fan, we will definitely talk SEC sports. Going to admit, I'm a homer when it comes to the Sooners, so it is going to be slanted towards OU. But obviously, the opponents that they have in those coming weeks in football, baseball, basketball, whatever it might be, we'll definitely talk SEC. And I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s. You know, I'm in my 50s now and probably feel a little old for this YouTube thing. And it's going to be a little bit of a journey for me. After 25 years in radio, it's definitely going to be something different. But I want to approach this thing in a way that it is open to everything. And I'll probably talk about some stuff from the 80s. I'll probably talk about some old movies and older music that did influence me growing up. I'm a big music guy. I've been to hundreds of concerts of all genres, not just country. A little bit of everything. Hip-hop, rap, R&B, country, rock, metal, you name it. I've been to the shows. So we'll talk a lot about that and the shows that I'm going to attend going forward. As I mentioned, Red Rocks in July. I cannot wait for that show. It's been on a bucket list of mine for a long time and finally going to scratch that off. So Riley Green's coming up later this year. Jason Aldean. I've got tickets for several shows coming up here, and we'll talk about those as well. So if there's something you want to talk about, you want me to talk about, you've listened to me over the years on radio, and you said, I've been curious about, this story that you guys got into on the radio, hit me up in the comments. I'll try to jot all those down, and we'll get into a lot of those in future episodes, though. But thank you for coming along on this journey. As I said, if you're new, please subscribe. That's how we're going to grow this thing. Share the channel. Tell your friends. And we'll have a lot of fun here going forward. Appreciate you joining me on episode 1 of Backroads and Ballgames. Go and listen to Evangeline and the Machine. I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. I love the album. The more I listen to it, it's probably going to go to a 10, an 11 on my rating scale because I think it is a great, great piece of work. So Evangeline versus the Machine. Go listen to it now and subscribe to the show. Backroads and Ballgames will be back with episode 2 coming up soon. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.